Good morning and welcome to another episode of Drafted U.S. Army Letters Home. During my tour of Vietnam in 1960, going into 1967. So this is going to be Chapter 4, Episode 1 of the series, and I hope you all enjoy it. This is Take Your Dog to Work Day, so you'll notice I have Princess here. Give you a good look at her. She's a cute little dog. And she's going to help me read letters today, aren't you, Princess? Hope you know how to read. Going to the vet this afternoon, so she should be happy. So let me get started. This first letter is 3rd of January, 1967. I'm going to let her down. And this is a long letter. 8 pages, typed, double-spaced. This will take a little while. And the dogs are running around like crazy, which is fine. So here we go. January 3rd, 1967. Dear Mom and Dad, here it is. January 2nd, and all the holidays are over. This has been a real hectic season, and I will try to reconstruct it for you now. In early December, we started making our plans for Christmas as far as programs and services went. And I was a chaplain's assistant, so we had to do Christmas-type programming for the troops. So along about the second week of December, the engineers decided to start building a new South Beach chapel and get us out of the old tent. When we asked if it would be ready for Christmas, they would tell us, yes, it will be finished in time. Every day we'd drive by and see how they were coming along on it, and every day we would grow more pessimistic. The engineers prefabbed most of it on the ground and lifted the finished A-frames into place and stuck on the roof. They hurriedly put in a pulpit area, an altar railing, and lighting, so it could be used while Cardinal Spellman was here and for Christmas. Chaplain Hendrickson didn't think it was going to be finished in time, so we scheduled our services at the main post chapel for Christmas Eve. The main chapel is also a brand new A-frame type chapel. It is very attractive looking both inside and out. On Christmas Eve, my friend Bob Eckert and I went up to the main post chapel and installed the PA sound system using one Sansui amplifier, 2 microphones, 1 tape recorder, and 6 large speakers. It took us all afternoon to put it all in, but when installed, it sounded great. I used my tape recorder and some Christmas music that the chaplain had recorded for our carols and anthems. It made a very nice candlelight service. I took quite a few pictures around the place that night, and all the decorations were beautiful. After the service, we drove around and looked at all the Christmas decorations that all the units had put up, and ended at our own little South Beach chapel, and it turned out to be the prettiest sight on the peninsula that night. It really surprised us that it would be finished on time and still look as good as it did. I then took the chaplain back to his quarters and came back to my house and had my Christmas tree that night. I took some pictures of myself opening the presents that night too. Cardinal Spellman gave the Christmas Mass at midnight at the 87th Amphitheater, which is right across the street from the chapel and just down the street from here. I didn't go to it because I had to get up early the next morning, so I went to bed. I understand that a worldwide broadcast went out from that Mass that night. I know it was broadcast here in Vietnam. The 21st of December, Bob Hope and his troop were here at the amphitheater down the street, and I went to that. It really was a good show and was worth waiting about 7.5 hours, like some of the guys did. Some were there at 7:30 in the morning, waiting for the show to begin at 2:30 p.m. I got there at 12:30 and sat way near the back. I took pictures with my 200mm lens, and I'm still too far back to see good, but I did get some good shots. If you see the show on TV in January, or if you see any magazine articles on the show, I'll be sitting right in front of 3 bright white helmets, and they show up even at the distance from the stage I was. You can also see the peak of our chapel when they show the crowd. They had a regular TV show set up with 4 or 5 movie cameras and many newsmen running around taking pictures of everything that moved. The whole thing was interesting and entertaining, and sure was a welcome break to an endless effort of these men here in Cam Ranh Bay to build it into the largest logistical supply point in the Far East. It really did lift the morale of the men here, and Bob Hope is truly appreciated here in Vietnam. Interesting side note, my personal doctor, my primary doctor, is a Vietnamese man. Very, very nice. And I had an appointment with him yesterday, and I mentioned that I was doing these letters. And I could see it, even though he was wearing a mask because of COVID, I could see his eyes light up. He said, "Oh, really? You were at Cam Ranh Bay?" I said, "Yep." And he knew about Cam Ranh. He knew about, after we left, the Soviets taking over. He mentioned about, too bad the Soviets took over our base after we abandoned it. And I thought that was kind of interesting. That's exactly what happened. The Soviets came in and took over that base and apparently made it into a submarine base. That's what I understand. So, but it was interesting to see his face light up. And so he's going to be a listener now of these broadcasts, and I hope he can share it with his family and friends. It'd be nice to see this series get more exposure than it has. It's a different look at Vietnam than most people remember, and it might be something interesting for people. Reading on now, on the 23rd of December, I went out to the Air Force Base to hear Billy Graham. There was a large crowd on hand when I arrived, and I was sitting near the back when they opened up a large section down in front that was reserved but not filled. So I moved down to the front row on row 5 center. The whole gang was there, including Cliff Barrows, George Beverly Shea, and some associate ministers. The talk Billy gave was just like one of his crusades, and to be so close to such a dynamic person and to be able to watch him so closely is a real treat, because you have to strain to see him at his crusades. I really enjoyed seeing and hearing him, especially singing and all the Christmas songs, and hearing Bev Shea sing. Back to Christmas Day, we had our regular services that day and returned to the company and ate another fabulous meal, the menu of which I'm enclosing. The meal was really good, and everything that was on the menu was served. After dinner, we went out to Micah Village to give all the kids who lived there a Christmas party, which was over about 5:30. The Polaroid enclosed was taken at the monastery and shows their nativity scene. The photographer and I took a bunch of pictures and gave them to the priest, who got a kick out of seeing their pictures in 10 seconds. After being taken, that night I collapsed into bed early, a very tired people. And I did say tired people. All along through this Christmas rush, our headquarters and the company was preparing for our annual general inspection. This meant cleaning equipment, having extra classes at night, working in the company area, straightening out our office files, throwing away stuff we don't need, and hiding stuff we weren't supposed to have. Our inspection was scheduled for the 27th of December, and I had everything aligned straight at the company and the office. A team of 14 men of different ranks poured over our areas, looking for deficiencies and shortcomings. And all the while, I was out driving around in the Jeep, trying to keep away from the inspectors so they couldn't inspect our vehicle. That night after the inspection, the team stayed overnight with us, and someone stole the Inspector General's Jeep and drove it off into a ravine near the company. It wasn't hurt, but it took a while to find it, and it sure put a kink in the IG's plans to get back to Nha Trang. They finally found it and drove it up to Nha Trang and gave it back to them. It was sort of humorous ending to an otherwise serious 2-week preparations for the inspection. The day after the inspection, the 28th of December, I came down with a cold that put me right in bed at 7 p.m. The next morning I felt terrible and my chest started tightening up like asthma. But I trudged on to work. Right when this started, the wind came out of the north at a high speed and it kicked up sand, dust, and I suppose some pollen somewhere. And it gave me an allergy because when I'd go outside I'd feel awful and I couldn't breathe. That afternoon the chaplain let me stay down in bed and I suffered all that afternoon and night. The next morning I got a sick slip and went to the medics, and the doctor examined me and decided that I had a little bronchitis complicated with asthma, and he gave me some pills to take and an inhaler to help open my chest. You know how I am about taking medication for asthma. It usually just makes me worse than ever. But I took the pills and used the Medihaler, just enough to make it easier to breathe, and later on that evening, the wind stopped completely, and soon thereafter, I snapped out of it. My chest opened up, and I started coughing it up, and I stopped taking the pills right then. I really had it rough for about 4 days, and today was the first day I have felt any good at all and had an appetite. It was just like the sickness I used to have just before I came into the Army, where I would feel bad at night and get real tight. So tonight I have to stay up all night and stay in the orderly room and wake up the company. The weather is terrible, with the wind and rain lashing at the place. I am glad I'm inside where it is dry and warm. It is actually cool outside, and we need blankets to keep warm at night. It gets into the low 70s. As you can see, I've had a very hectic holiday season, and this is the reason I haven't written anything lately. First, I didn't have time, and then I didn't feel like it. Now, I'm so far behind that I doubt I will ever catch up. I got many Christmas presents, and I haven't even sent thank yous yet. Some of the things I have gotten mixed up, who sent me what, and who is who. I'm going to try to write some short ones tonight and get them out of the way. I lost Mrs. Butterfield's address, so I will send a thank you note through you to give her. She sent some delicious cookies, which we all enjoyed. The Mullenixes sent me some goodies and a nice pad of stationery. The Christine sent some cookies and stuff. The DeMolay Mothers Club sent me a box full of different goodies. Uncle Bob sent me 3 real good tapes to play on my recorder. That crazy girl in Iowa sent a tape also, so that makes me 8 tapes altogether. She also sent me a bunch of books and magazines and small gifts, cookies, cards, etc. I want to thank you now for the things you sent me. I noticed that some of the stuff that I had asked for a little while back, and I appreciate you sending them to me. The foot powder cleared my feet up and nothing flat. I got my boots looking good with the shoe polish you sent. The shorts were a little too tight due to the fact I have gained in the waistline, but I will certainly be able to use them when I lose some waist. Uncle George and Aunt Thelma sent me some kumquat candy from the tangerine shop, and they are delicious. I'm sure there are other gifts I got, but I can't remember what right now. All in all, had a very nice Christmas, considering where I am and everything. For some, didn't get a single gift, and even a few didn't even get one Christmas card. I am indeed fortunate to have parents as wonderful as you are, Mom and Dad. And I am also fortunate to have as many friends that sent me cards and packages this Christmas. And I will be sure and thank each and every one of them for their thoughtfulness. My tape recorder was 3 months old and had about 250 hours on it the other day, so I sold it to a guy in the company who had been wanting one for $120. I paid $126 for it, so I didn't do too badly. I'm going to try to get an Akai Model M8 as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow. It costs $199.95 and corresponds to the Roberts 770X in the States at $400. It is really a better machine. It has the crossfield head allowing frequency response from 30 to 25,000 CPS at 7.5 inches per second. They are supposed to have some at the PX tomorrow, so I'm going to stand in line early and try to get one. The old one I had was still in like new shape, and when we took the front cover off, the inside was like new with very little dust on anything. It was very well constructed, also showed a lot of quality, but it didn't really perform good enough for what I want. And this is the main reason I'm trading. The chaplain has ordered an M8 for our office, and it should be in about a week or two. We're putting an amplifier and speakers into our new chapel as soon as they put a lockable storage area into it. Then I will play my better tapes through that system and should get a real good high quality sound through it. Would you look in the big room upstairs and see if you can find the nomenclature on my little night amplifier? And either send it to me or write down all the info and send it to me. One question I have about it is how many inputs it has on the back, and what they are, and what type of plug it takes. Also, whether it's 8 or 16 ohm output. Is there a plug for headphones on the front or rear? Also, try to find out the power output wattage. Why didn't he just take his cell phone and take a picture of it and text it to me? Oh, they didn't have that in those days, did they? Man, we have it so easy nowadays. So easy to do stuff. I'm going to order some speakers from the Japanese PX and have them shipped from home as soon as they're inexpensive. And the ones I have are only temporarily there anyway. A nice birthday gift for me would be a good cartridge for my record changer. The person to check with that on would be Tommy Cooper. And he could steer you to a good one. I'm going to try to stock up on a lot of recording tape before I come home, so I'll have plenty to use when I get there. It is so expensive there and is half the price here. I will keep you posted on what happens in the next few weeks, and in 8 weeks I should know where I still will be headed back in the States. I believe I have rambled on long enough now, and this has ceased to be a letter and has become a book. Gotta go. Love, Donnie. That was definitely long but interesting letter. A lot of things were happening. It's really kind of neat. So now we're going to move on to some shorter letters. This one is 4th of January, 1967. It's a handwritten note to Uncle Bob and Aunt Lucille. Thank you very much for 3 stereo tapes you have sent me for Christmas. They were excellent selections, and we are all enjoying them a lot. The 3 tapes you sent brought my total to up to 9. Everything is fine over here, and I had a wonderful Christmas. Got to see Bob Hope and his show and Billy Graham while they were here. Things were real hectic in our office, though, this season, but now things have settled down and are back to normal. I'm getting close to coming home, and I'm getting excited about it. I should be home by the 18th of April. In a few days, I will be getting a new tape recorder. My little one was fine, but after finding out the joys of tape recorded music, I thought I had better get myself a better one than the one I had. The model I'm going to get is a Nakai M8, and is the same as the Robert 770X in the States. They have been selling all kinds of recorders in our PX lately, but only there haven't been enough supply for the demand. Thank you again for the tapes, and I want to wish you and the family a wonderful new year. Love, Donnie. This one is the 10th of January to Jean and Johnny, my sister and brother-in-law. 10th of January. Thank you for remembering me at Christmas. All of the presents from you and Mom and Dad, and right after Christmas, we had our annual general inspection. And I had to throw everything that wasn't needed away, so I put of these goodies in my some of these goodies in my locker, and all the wrappings went in the trash, and therefore I don't know who sent what, but I want to thank you all for all that you did send, for it was really appreciated. Many guys didn't even get one package. So I should as much be as possible, shared as much as possible with them to help cheer them up. Christmas was nice here, except it didn't really seem like Christmas to me. We had a lot of beautiful Christmas services, and our Christmas present was a brand new chapel. I will send you a picture of it as soon as I get one. I got to see Bob Hope and Billy Graham while they were here in the area, and this certainly helped to pick up the spirits of the men. Billy Graham gave a dynamic talk and was very similar to a regular crusade. I got to sit down in front and got some good pictures of him. Your tapes are good, and I will be able to use them for our services real soon. Right now, I have no way to mix them, though, through both speakers since they are mono tapes. But as soon as we get our amplifier hooked up, I can record the small tape on one channel and then mix it in the amp. I will let you know how it works later. So you got yourself a VW, huh? It would be nice to have two cars, and a VW will be economical. I can't wait to see it. I haven't even seen your Pontiac yet because I have been gone. Well, thanks again for the Christmas goodies. Love in Christ, Donald. P.S. Send me your phone number. That's interesting. Well, my time is up for this episode. We're into 1967. It's in January, and it's time there is slowly winding down. I'm looking forward to leaving Vietnam, heading back to the States, a new duty station, and I'm hoping that happens with no incident. So all the guys are always looking forward. After you've been there a certain period of time, you're ready to leave. And things get kind of routine, and even though there's a lot going on, it's still, you want to get out. And the safety factor, of course, is in there. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in and listening to my stories. Please share these if you can. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. And let's help share this word. See y'all later. Thank you very much.